Hey everyone, welcome to day 10 of our 30 days of college advice program. I'm Adyant, and today we're going to be talking about what factors actually matter when applying to college. We're going to be talking about the various factors in the college application and really put a weightage to how important each factor is. Now, before we get started, please like this video below, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel so that you get the latest videos as we continue our 30 days of college advice program. Now let's get started. First, let's look at this graphic over here. Now this graphic shows the important admissions factors. Now this graphic really goes from number 1, which is the most important factor, to number 6, which is the least important factor. And so these are the 6 most important factors when applying to college. These factors play a huge role in the college application process, in the college admissions process, when college admissions officers are deciding who they want to accept. Now there is some truth to these factors, and there are some things which are not quite right in this graphic. And today we are going to be analyzing this graphic and really going over what is technically right and what may not be exactly correct. Let's break this graphics down. Now let's get started with the GPA. Now the GPA, usually, which is also known as the grade point average, it indicates how well you have done in your courses throughout high school, or how well you scored, and it takes all your scores of your various courses that you completed in high school and it determines an average. There's more weightage if you do an AP course, an honors course, versus maybe a lower level course. Now, be advised that in this video, when we're talking about the factors which play a role, this discussion is a really long discussion. It can take a long time to talk about all the various factors. So we're going to really focus on the main ones and just give a brief overview of how important each factor is. And in our other videos, we are going to be specifically talking about each factor and going over what you can do to improve, for example, your GPA, and how important they are. So now let's get back on the GPA. Now, the GPA also shows admissions officers how hard a worker you are. Are you such a hard worker that you put in the effort to study for your classes and get really good grades? And the most important part of your GPA is that it shows how prepared you are for a college level study, for a college level course. This is especially important for top tier schools like Ivy League schools, where their curriculums are extremely difficult, that they want to know that you are prepared for that sort of difficult course load. Now be advised that while you do hear that the GPA and class rank, is the most important part of your college application, there is some truth to that, but it might seem a little misleading. So yes, GPA is extremely important. If you fail your classes, don't immediately expect that you can get into the Ivy League schools immediately. But it also doesn't mean that if you're not number 1 in your class, or if you don't have that perfect 4.0 GPA, that you can't get in. It doesn't mean that at all. You should just score well. You should score within a given range to show colleges that you are prepared for their course level studies. That's all it is. That's all there is to it. You do not have to be perfect in these admissions processes, because especially if you're looking at private universities, top tier schools, they go through what's called the holistic admissions process, where GPA is just one small factor on various other factors. Now let's also look at the second factor, the SAT, ACT scores, and these include SAT subject tests and possibly even AP scores. Now the SAT and ACT are standardized tests, and the reason why they are so important, now given that over time actually the importance of the SAT and ACT scores, the importance that colleges give to these standardized test scores have dramatically reduced over time due to colleges looking at other factors, like your essays. But it's still important, and you should probably take these tests. It's usually required for most colleges. And the reason they still use this is because it is the best objective indicator of a student's performance. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, because they are standardized tests, it's the best and most fair way for colleges to sort of compare one student from another, because all students pretty much take the same test. They are tested on the same sort of skills. Your grades can be easily compared to anyone in the nation who takes that same test. And so that's why it's the best objective indicator. But again, this is just one other factor, and it is not a huge factor that can really make or break your college application. Now let's get into the third factor. Now, extracurriculars. This is personally my favorite factor in the college admissions process, and personally I believe that it is really the most important part of your college application. Extracurriculars are the best way to prove to colleges that you are more than just a number. You are more than just a test score. You are more than just that 1600 on the SAT or that perfect 4.0 GPA student. It proves that you are more than that. You have personality, you have passions and talents that you want to pursue and that you do pursue after school. You have other things that you really want to do apart from school. Now, yes, school is important, obviously, but it really shows that even with school, you are able to manage other activities. Now, extracurriculars can be anything. It could be sports if you want to become an athlete. It could also be research if you're interested in scientific research and you want to do research at the college level. It could be starting your own business because you're interested in entrepreneurship, or maybe inventing something and maybe filing for a patent. It can be anything you want, extracurriculars, as long as you really show how passionate you are and you dedicate a good amount of time towards it throughout your high school journey. And personally, as I said, this to me is the most important factor in the college admissions process, because it really does show that you are more than just a number. You can do other things. You have the capability to do other things and really pursue your passions. Now, the next part is community service. Now, this is the best way to show traits like leadership, compassion, creativity. It's the best way to show these traits in you. And this can be just volunteering at your local hospital, volunteering at the local food bank. It could be anything, sort of serving your own local community. And it really does show all these sort of traits. And it's honestly the best way to get more sort of activities out of school, especially if you are not maybe as motivated in academic field and studying much. This is the best way, or another sort of alternative way apart from your GPA, to sort of show who you are, to do some really great community service projects to help out your community. So this is another factor that plays a role in the college application process. Now, granted, community service, if the weightage that community service has in the college admissions process has slightly declined over time due to the amount of people in their college application actually writing that they have done community service. But it honestly does not matter, because community service is a great extracurricular to pursue, and I encourage you to do it if you have the time to volunteer, and it's a great way. So, not to discourage you or anything, but it's just very slightly reduced in its weightage based on data that's been researched. Now, the next important factor in the college application process is the reference or rec letters. Now, these are super important. Sometimes people might tell you, past students, they may tell you that rec letters don't mean much, but they do. They honestly do. Because rec letters, they support your college application. Especially for private universities using that holistic admissions process, they want to see great, outstanding rec letters from your teachers, mentors, professors, because the rec letters really help admissions officers really gain insight of your personality or values. It really helps them. Apart from what you are saying, it really helps validate sort of your personality if they're able to get that same perspective from a teacher. So it's really insight about you as a person from another individual, which will be teachers or mentors. Here I sort of went back to this graphics, and the reason I'm going back to this graphics is, if you did not notice already, there is one important factor, extremely important factor, which this graphic doesn't show. And this is actually pretty common. A lot of people sort of neglect to account for this factor that I'll be talking about. They don't think it's as important, they may overlook it and not spend much time doing work for it. And that factor, if you didn't think of it already, is essays. Essays are super important. These guarantee you can make or break your college admission. They can make or break that acceptance. Even more than your SAT or ACT scores, even more than your extracurricular activities. Now, why do I say that? Well, it brings me back to the fact that colleges do not want just an academically strong student. They want, especially if you are looking for a top tier school, they don't want to see just an academically strong student. They want to see more than that. They want to know your personality, the admissions officers, your values, your talents, your passions. And because there is really no way for you to communicate with your admissions officer other than maybe interviewing with an alumni to really have a one-on-one discussion about who you are, the only way admissions officers can really know who you are apart from those rec letters is your essays. Many people may neglect the essays. They might just put it aside and not put much effort into it. Essays are super important. Now, this is because you can have an amazing transcript, amazing GPA, perfect SAT score, and you might have a lot of extracurricular activities. You might have various passions, talents. Your personality might be amazing for an admissions officer, and they might love to accept you. But if you do not show your values, your personality, if you do not properly show it in your essays, admissions officers have no other way to really personally get to know you. And as a result, you are likely to get rejected if your essays do not meet the mark. They really do make or break your college acceptance. So I really highly encourage you to please spend time, especially if you are a junior and you are heading over in the summer and you're a rising senior over the summer. Spend time to write those college essays. Every essay counts. Talk about your unique passions, your personality, what you believe in. The more personalized, the more effort you put into your essays, the more likely the chance that the college admissions officer will like your application and accept you. So that's it for this video. This was day 10 of our 30-day program of college advice. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.